Leaving a toxic friend group doesn't have to end in a screaming match, a group chat meltdown, or a slow-motion social explosion. There's actually a quiet way out, one most people never learn because everyone assumes the only two options are stay miserable or burn it all down. I've spent time digging through psychology research on social exits, boundary setting, and group dynamics, and it turns out the people who leave friend groups the most cleanly aren't the ones who give a big speech. They're the ones who understand a few quiet psychological principles about how groups actually respond to change. In this video, I'm going to walk you through exactly how to exit a toxic friend group without the drama, the mindset shift that makes it possible, the step-by-step method for pulling away, and the one thing you need to do when the guilt hits, because it will. By the end, you'll have a clear plan you can start using today. Most people think leaving a friend group requires a confrontation, a final conversation. Someone has to win. That instinct makes sense, but it's based on a misunderstanding of how social groups work. Psychologists who study group dynamics point to something called de-individuation, the tendency for people to act differently, often more aggressively when they're part of a group rather than acting alone. A friend who might respond to your concerns calmly one-on-one can turn defensive or cruel the moment the rest of the group is watching. That's not because they're secretly a terrible person. It's because groups create pressure to perform loyalty, and confrontation invites everyone to pick a side. This is why a dramatic exit so often backfires. You're not just talking to one friend, you're talking to an audience, and audiences make people defensive. Here's the quieter alternative. Instead of announcing your exit, you gradually reduce your presence until the group adjusts to your absence on its own. Social psychologists call this kind of shift social disengagement, a gradual withdrawal of time, energy, and emotional investment rather than a single dramatic break. The reason this works isn't complicated. Groups run on habits: who texts who shows up to what, who's included in which plans. When those habits shift slowly, nobody feels like something was done to them. They just notice over time that you've drifted. Drifting doesn't trigger the same defensive reaction that rejection does. You're not being fake. You're not being a coward. You're removing the trigger that turns an ordinary friendship problem into a group war. That's the whole philosophy behind a quiet exit. Change the pattern before you change the relationship. Understanding why gradual works is one thing. Actually doing it without looking suspicious, guilty, or cold is a completely different skill, and it comes down to 4 specific moves in a specific order. Get the order wrong and people notice. Get it right and most of them won't even clock what's happening until you're already gone. Step 1. Lower your response speed, not your warmth. Start by simply responding a little slower to texts, to invites, to group chat pile-ons. Not cold, not ignoring people, just human speed instead of instant speed. Fast replies signal availability. Slower replies signal a full life, not a cold shoulder. This alone reduces how present you feel to the group without a single hard conversation. How to do it? If you'd normally reply in 5 minutes, let it be a few hours. If you'd normally say yes on the spot, say let me check and get back to you, and actually take a day. Step 2. Say yes less, but never say no rudely. You don't need to reject invitations. You need to simply stop being the default yes. Every time you show up, you reinforce the group's expectation that you're always available. Skipping selectively, without explanation or apology, breaks that expectation gently. How to do it? Skip roughly 1 out of every 2 or 3 things. Keep it simple. Can't make it this time is a complete sentence. No essay, no justification. Over-explaining is what makes people suspicious. A short, calm answer reads as normal life, not avoidance. Step 3. Redirect your energy toward other relationships. This is the step people skip, and it's the one that matters most. A group notices an empty space faster than it notices a person quietly stepping back, so you need to be filling that space with something else. Psychologists who study relationship transitions have found that people cope far better with an ending when a new connection or activity is already replacing it, rather than leaving a void behind. It's easier to walk away from something when you're walking toward something else. How to do it? Reconnect with an old friend. Join something new, a class, a group chat, a Sunday run club, anything. This isn't a rebound. It's rebuilding your social floor before you remove the old one. Step 4. Stop feeding the group's core activity. Every toxic group has a glue, something that holds it together. Sometimes it's gossip. Sometimes it's drinking. Sometimes it's constant complaining about someone else. Whatever it is, that activity is the thing actually keeping you stuck, more than the people themselves. If you keep participating in the glue activity, you'll keep getting pulled back in, even after steps 1 through 3. The pattern reactivates the relationship every time. How to do it? Simply stop engaging with it. Don't pile on the group chat. Don't add fuel to the gossip. Change the subject or just go quiet when it starts. You're not policing anyone, you're just declining to participate. Do all 4 of these consistently for a few weeks and something interesting happens. The group doesn't feel rejected. They feel like life just happened. And in a very real sense, it did, because you built one. But here's the part nobody warns you about. The part that actually stops most people from finishing this process. It's not the group's reaction you need to prepare for. It's your own. Around week 2 or 3, something predictable happens. Guilt shows up. You'll see an old photo. Someone will send a birthday text like nothing changed. You'll wonder if you're overreacting, if the group was really that bad, if you're the toxic one for leaving quietly instead of being honest. This is where most people cave and go running back, not because the group got better, but because the guilt got loud. Here's what's actually happening. Humans are wired for social belonging so strongly that psychologists have found the brain can register social rejection using some of the same regions involved in processing physical pain. Distance from a group, even a group that was hurting you, can genuinely feel like a threat to your brain, even when it's the healthiest thing you could be doing. That guilt isn't proof you're doing something wrong. It's proof your brain is wired for belonging, not for accuracy. It cannot tell the difference between leaving a bad situation and losing safety. It just reacts to distance. So when the guilt hits, don't treat it as new information about whether you should stay. Treat it as background noise your brain makes anytime a social bond changes, the same way your stomach growls whether or not you actually need to eat right now. The people who successfully leave toxic groups quietly aren't the ones who never feel guilty. They're the ones who feel the guilt, name it for what it is, and keep walking anyway because they remember why they started stepping back in the first place. That's the real finish line. Not the moment the group notices you're gone, the moment you stop needing them to.